Almonte's Key Food, proudly serving communities throughout Brooklyn, Queens, and Long Island for over 30 years. When you shop Key Food, you'll always find fresh products, great weekly specials, and exceptional personalized service. Visit at any of their Key Food stores at 8235 153rd Avenue, Lindenwood, New York, 935 Rosedale Road, Valley Stream, New York, and 6620 Avenue U, Brooklyn, New York.
Katz and Cosby, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Now we have Congressman Mike Lawler, but before we bring him in, boy, did he make headlines and fireworks yesterday on the House hearing, and boy, did he take it to Jamie Raskin. The hearing was about illegals in America and Sheridan Gorman, who is, of course, a New York resident, who was horribly killed by an illegal. She's the Loyola University student in Chicago, and her mother testified yesterday, and boy, did Congressman Mike Lawler take it to Jamie Raskin. Listen to this one.
So while some of my colleagues may not want to hear the truth, the same outrage you feel about Renee Good and Alex Preddy, you should feel about Sheridan Gorman and Laken Riley and every Angel family in this country.
I do feel that outrage.
You do not. Because if you did, you would not support sanctuary jurisdiction.
Do you feel the outrage about Alex Preddy and Renee Good? You should be ashamed of yourself. You don't belong in this committee. You should get the hell out of here.
Is that a slow day on Capitol Hill? Wow.
It sounded to me like our pre-show meetings.
Yeah, it did. It really did. When we get up in the morning, wait a minute. But anyway, boy, was he great. And that was Congressman Mike Lawler, because he is fighting about this terrible trend of illegal immigrants coming in this country. And, of course, Sheridan Gorman's family very much knows him well. He represents them. They are New Yorkers, and it was just a horrible loss. Joining us now is Congressman Mike Lawler. Congressman, bravo. Where's the applause, first of all, for you? Because you know what? I watched that live, and I said, bravo to the congressman. Because you know what? It was like the Democrats they didn't even want to talk about her. And here is the mother looking at them in the eye and saying, do you realize that your policies have allowed this to happen? So many illegal migrants with criminal histories. This guy had a violent criminal history, never should have been in the country.
Well, let me tell you, Rita, it was shameful sitting there listening to Pramila Jayapal and Jamie Raskin as they cravenly dismissed the Gorman and Abraham families and complained that this was the fourth time we were having a hearing on sanctuary policies and that there were other more important things to discuss. Jessica Gorman should not have had to be there yesterday. She should be home enjoying the summer with her two daughters, Sheridan and Madeline. Instead, she's having to mourn her 18-year-old daughter Sheridan's death because she was brutally murdered by an illegal immigrant that entered into this country under Joe Biden's open border policies and then was arrested in Chicago for shoplifting and released under their disastrous cashless bail pro-criminal policies and sanctuary policies back out onto the street only to murder this 18-year-old girl, shot her in the back of the head. I mean, one of the most tragic moments yesterday was Jessica Gorman talking about how she's grateful that her daughter was only shot, that she wasn't raped or worse. The whole situation was horrific. And listening to the smugness, the arrogance, the condescension of Jamie Raskin and Pramila Jayapal, before I even spoke, I was there to introduce Jessica Gorman, and then they kept cutting me off, trying to stop me from speaking because they didn't want to hear what I had to say, which was to call them out for supporting these disastrous policies. And ultimately, we got into that screaming match, but I wasn't backing down. I wasn't going to take their crap after Jessica and Tom and Madeline had to sit there and listen to them dismiss them.
We should play it one more time.
Yeah, let's play it one more time.
So that way, now that the people know what we're talking about better, if this the second time, I think they'll hear it better.
Here it is, back by popular demand.
So while some of my colleagues may not want to hear the truth, The same outrage you feel about Renee Good and Alex Preddy, you should feel about Sheridan Gorman and Laken Riley and every Angel family in this country.
I do feel that outrage.
You do not. Because if you did, you would not support sanctuary jurisdiction.
Do you feel the outrage about Alex Preddy and Renee Good? You should be ashamed. You don't belong in this committee. You should get the hell out of here.
Okay, for the people out there, our million listeners that are hearing it for the first time, explain to them who was calling or yelling at who.
Yeah, and obviously that was you, Congressman, right?
Yeah. So I was making the point about, because the Democrats have focused heavily, obviously, on ICE and wanting to abolish ICE. They've shown great outrage at the deaths of Alex Preddy and Renee Good. And I shared in that.
And tell the audience who they are.
Well, they were two American citizens that were killed in Minneapolis. Renee Good was in a vehicle blocking ICE from doing their job, and she ended up getting shot in an altercation with ICE. Alex Preddy physically got into an altercation with ICE.
The vehicle was moving,
hit the officer.
And the ICE officer thought he's going to get killed.
Hit. But my point, and I wrote this in a New York Times op-ed back in January, I share the outrage. That shouldn't have happened. It was entirely preventable. And the reason it was preventable is because local law enforcement in Minneapolis should have been allowed to engage in crowd control and traffic control, but they were prohibited. And so you had this interaction that never should have occurred. Those two people should still be alive. But equally outrageous is the fact that Sheridan Gorman, an 18-year-old girl at college, going out at 1 a.m. with her friends to go look at the Northern Lights, was brutally murdered by an illegal immigrant. And my colleagues on the other side of the aisle don't care. They can say they do. They can sit there and say, we're sorry for your loss. But there's always a but. And that is what Jess Gorman pointed out, that don't tell me you're sorry and then say but. There is no but when you bury your child because of sanctuary policies, because of cashless bail, because of open borders. And the whole point I was making was you should be outraged about all of it, and we should fix it. And my Democratic colleagues didn't want to hear it, and they kept trying to interrupt me, and I had enough. And I called them out on it, and they obviously didn't like it, and too bad. Their conduct yesterday was shameful.
Congressman Mike Lawler, I want to have you also remind everybody about this monster. That's the nicest thing I could say. This guy, Jose Medina, 25-year-old. He was already like a serial criminal before he even killed beautiful Sheridan Gorman, right?
Well, back in his home country, but this is, but he was arrested here, and this is the whole point. If you commit a crime and you are in this country illegally, goodbye. This isn't that hard to understand. And what the Democrats refuse to tell people and what they refuse to accept is the fact that in New York, Kathy Hochul just signed a law prohibiting local law enforcement from cooperating with immigration and federal law enforcement officials when it comes to honoring detainer requests on people who are committing crimes under state law. They keep saying, well, you need a federal judicial warrant. Well, the only way you get a federal judicial warrant is if you commit a federal crime. And so that's the whole problem here. They refuse to cooperate. And so as a result, Sheridan Gorman is dead. She should still be alive. This was entirely preventable. It is shameful. It is wrong. And we are not going to stop until we end sanctuary cities across this country.
And by the way, the guy, Jose Medina, he had a shank found on him after he was taken to custody while in jail now. So his serial crime continues. I mean, this is one bad dude. Governor Patterson.
Congressman, every time I hear you speak, I'm just more impressed, and particularly the even-handedness you displayed about the two murders. It wasn't like a left murder and a right murder. It's a murder of 4 people who were human beings. And the fact that you stood up for the people you brought in there, if it was a member of my family and I heard that kind of outrage and that kind of insinuation that was coming from the other side of the aisle, which unfortunately is the aisle that is the Democratic aisle, I would have probably gotten up and swung at somebody.
Well, it's I will tell you, and I generally keep my cool. I was outraged sitting there. Before I spoke, before Jess spoke, we had to listen to almost 20 minutes of diatribes from Pramila Jayapal and Jamie Raskin. Everything was about Trump, and that they were angry that they had to sit there and listen to more hearings about sanctuary cities. And, to me, it's not about sanctuary cities. It's about the consequences of sanctuary cities and the fact that an 18-year-old girl is dead because of this idiotic policy that protects illegal immigrants. Jessica Gorman's testimony, it was about 10 minutes long, her opening statement. I truly encourage every single person to go watch it. It is one of the most powerful testimonies I've ever seen somebody deliver.
We'll put it on the WABC website link.
I appreciate it. It is the most powerful testimony you will see. It is a mother asking members of Congress very simply, choose us. My daughter's life mattered. Why does an illegal immigrant criminal matter more to you than protecting my daughter? Any parent can understand the anguish and the pain that Jessica Gorman and Tom Gorman and Madeline Gorman are feeling because of stupid, idiotic policies that need to change.
I saw it. It moved me to tears. Bravo for fighting the good fight for all Americans. Congressman Mike Lawler, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In this 25th anniversary year of September 11th, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation continues to honor America's heroes. Heroes like Fire Lieutenant Michael Wells, who was inspired by 9/11 to serve his community. After 14 dedicated years of service, he lost his battle with occupational cancer, leaving behind his wife, Katie, and their 3 children. Tunnel to Towers honored Lieutenant Wells by paying off the family's mortgage in recognition of his sacrifices. Donate $11 monthly and amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Go to T2T.org.